On this episode of Cuesta, my brother David and I are joined by our good friend from the Playbook, co-host Rob Planter, as we do a nice rundown. We have, it's a pretty long episode, but we're all in quarantine, so who cares? We talk about Rob Gronkowski going to the Bucs and Percy Harvin possibly coming back and wanting to go to Tampa. What the hell's going on there? We talk about the draft predictions for the upcoming draft on Thursday. It's Wednesday, the 22nd that we're recording this, April 22nd. So that's tomorrow. That'll be the day today when I release it. Von Miller contracted COVID-19. Sure, he's going to be okay, but we just talk about the implications with athletes in this whole situation. We talk about the NFL top 50 merchandise sales list. Who's on it? What do we think about it? We talk about Boston basically getting no penalty, similar to the Astros in baseball with the whole entire cheating scandal. We talk about the Last Dance documentary with Michael Jordan and the stupid LBJ versus Michael Jordan comparison. We have a fun conversation about that. Talk about the top high school player, Jalen Green, going to the G League over college, what the implications could be, all that type of stuff. And we finish off with the United States Soccer Federation is basically stupid. That's all I'm going to say. So without any further ado, enjoy the show. What's going on, sports fans? Welcome to another exciting edition of Cuesta Dos. I am Alex Cuesta, as always. My brother is over there in the swamps of New Jersey, as always. What's up, Dave?
Not really the swamps. It's by the shore.
The
Not really swamp.
They're swamps. But if you are watching, you can see that we have added somebody today. And if you are listening, you'll get to hear his voice shortly. Rob Planter of the Playbook. I think he's doing all these promos because he plans on bringing the Playbook back right after the draft. So I think he's just trying to get on here as often as possible to get people back. What's up, Rob?
Slowly get back into it. But yeah, I'm here. I'm happy to be here, honestly, just because getting back into it, starting to talk about it more. I mean, it's all we do. Should have been doing it. We gotta have a better off-season plan next year because we just fell off. Just fell off the cliff.
I was yesterday years old when we were recording that I found out that Rob is actually in Washington State. This is how terrible a human being I am.
You didn't know that?
I had no idea that Rob was all the way in Washington State. And Rob, how long have you been out there for?
I've been out, bro. I've literally March 20th. I've been here since March 20th. That was the day. It was like the 19th into the 20th. So it's been.
Does it make me a bad person that I didn't know that we're in like multiple groups together? This is something I should have picked up on.
No, it's not. It doesn't make you a bad person just because not a lot of people knew. People were like, "You're out there." I'm like, "Yeah." So I'm like, this is what it is until this is over, pretty much. But,
so he's officially a Seahawks fan.
Hey.
He is a Blazers fan. He is a
Blazers
fan.
Talked about that. Yeah.
I have to say that I'm pretty much, that's a thing. That's the thing. I mean,
that's not a bad team to pick. You listen, when you have Stephon Urkel, then you can definitely root for that team when Stephon Urkel is on the team. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we have actually a lot to get through, which is fine because it's quarantine time, so nobody cares how long we talk for because no one's doing anything.
Yeah, and I watch it.
So we're going to jump right into this right away. We are recording on the 22nd of, what is this, April?
April.
22nd of April. It's a Wednesday. We normally record on Monday, but we had the benefit of recording on Wednesday because some stuff happened. And we're going to lead right with it. So yesterday, Rob Gronkowski comes out of retirement to go and party with a lot of hot women, but now because he's actually there for a team down in Tampa to join Tom Brady. Look, little people know. I saw a tweet. They said he's joining Tom Brady. No. He's going to the state that's reopening and allow him partying now. Like, he's not an idiot. So Gronkowski is officially to the Bucs, came out of retirement, got traded. Bill Belichick gets a 4th-round pick for a guy that wasn't going to play for him anyway. And that was big news. And then today, it comes out that Percy Harvin, who retired in 2016, wants to come out of retirement. And there's a lot of inklings that he wants to go play for the Bucs. Now, Percy Harvin is 80% Percy Harvin with his big playability and underneath skills. Adding him to that is insane. Ladies first, Rob, what do you think? What do you think of Gronk? and now Harvin. Like, what's going on in Tampa?
So the Gronk thing is interesting because I remember when I first saw it, my thought was, okay, he's thinking about it. Then I took a shower, came back out and saw it, and it was like, oh no. They're just trying to find a deal for him. And I'm like, all right, well, good luck with that kind of thing, blah, blah, blah. Then 2 seconds later, Rob Gronkowski is the Buccaneer. I'm like, yo, what is going on, bro? Like, I mean, all within 20 minutes, this happened on we just watched it happen. So I
Schefter was busy.
It's interesting, yeah. But I mean, it's interesting, but even though it just makes sense. I mean, we're in this point where we're like, oh, who's the reason why the Patriots have this dynasty? Is it Belichick? Is it Brady? There's some headbutting going on, but at the end of the day, it's like these guys were coming in. Brady was making careers. He was making guys careers. I mean, Amendola comes. He's a solid receiver. He goes to the Patriots. I mean, he's like top 3 spot receiver.
Wes Welker from the Dolphins to the Patriots, perfect example.
And these guys leave, and they're just not the same. So I mean, if you can get talent around them, Brady was fighting to get Antonio Brown. He was fighting to get keep Josh Gordon on the team, that kind of thing. He's very big in that. Let me get talent around me.
He experienced Randy Moss once, and he wanted it again.
Needed
just dudes.
So now it's like you got Gronk. You got O.J. Howard, who's a freak. You got Mike Evans, top 5 receiver in the NFL. You got to say he is. And I mean, O.J. He's just
well, the
crazy
thing is,
ceiling with Tom Brady throwing the ball. That's where I'm at with it.
So yeah, Dave, how you feeling about
the Gronk thing? It on paper it looks like something that could really help Tom Brady, but I don't know where Gronk is at. The man
he looks fit as hell.
No, the problem isn't him being fit. The man has been injured his whole career. Who's to say he's not going to only play 4 or 6 games for them? So you don't know exactly what's going to happen there. A Percy Harvin thing, man, I don't think it's going to happen either. I don't know if Percy Harvin. You can be as fit as you want. Age catches up to you, and especially in this day and age, things change every year. So. But
at his youngest, he's 29. At his oldest, he's 32. I don't know how old Percy is, but it depends. He came in somewhere. But he came in, I think, in his draft class was in 2009. So those are the over/under on him.
But the O.J. Howard thing, the reports are that they're looking for a trade for O.J. That they're probably going to get rid of O.J. That's probably going to be Gronk.
What has he done?
I did see it.
What has he done?
Yeah,
since he's gotten there, he's been underperforming since he's gotten there.
So I mean, OJ could have been a good help for Tom Brady, but I think he's gone for something. I don't know what they're going to get for him, but he's gone for something. He is a talent, but just getting the talent at him in right schemes. So we'll see. What got happens.
A high draft pick off of one game, the championship game. I've never thought OJ Howard was as good as the hype said he was. It was the championship game. No one knew who he really was unless you were a Bama fan before that anyway. So that's how I feel. Harvin, if Harvin doesn't have his migraines, I feel like it's okay because the migraines are really what forced him out of the league. Yeah. He couldn't play for a while. He had those terrible migraines.
Well, you're allowed to smoke now.
You can't have a marijuana. No.
That's legitimate though. Yeah. You're allowed to actually smoke. That could probably help with his migraines. And
God, Josh Gordon hates the league right now. Josh Gordon's so mad.
That's terrible.
So Rob, Percy Harvin, do you think he's an actual factor? You think he's a weapon, or is he a guy that we've seen Terrell Owens try and come back, didn't look great. We've seen a lot of these guys try and do it. I feel like at the receiver, the adjustments you have to make for that, how fast that ball comes at you. Once you haven't been doing it for a while, it's done. You can't do it again. What do you think?
I think my thought on just if you can keep your speed, that's the most important thing. Because that is the thing that, I mean, how much football speed have you lost in this time? That's what a team has to come in and evaluate and see. If you can keep that speed, then I think he'll be fine. As far as catching the ball goes, it's just timing. These guys, they're professionals. They've been doing it forever. It just takes, all they got to do is get out there for a week, 2 weeks, and they'll start forming some kind of relationship. And he's really just depth at this point. He's not going to be a top anything receiver in the league.
Especially Harvin's speed was his whole game.
That's the thing. So, And the thing is, in this NFL, if you got a guy who, he can go out there and he gets in shorts and t-shirt, he runs a four flat, something like that. He can kind of work maybe, but also you got to think, there's plenty of young guys running 4.4 that you can just bring in that that guy have way more of an upside. So maybe, but it's not. We're not talking about Antonio Brown. We're talking about Percy Harvin. So it's
Good luck, Percy. We wish you the best. You're a former Jet, but who knows how it's going to happen.
Yeah, he'll probably end up somewhere else. But we're going to move on from a prediction of whether Percy Harvin's going to be in the league to predictions on people that are definitely going to be in the league, draft predictions. So we did a whole roundtable special event last night that just came out today. That was a lot of fun.
David, we did the whole thing. Rob jumped in on the party at pick 20.
Joined halfway. Yeah. Oh, more than halfway.
So there are a couple things. You were. But there are a couple things that could happen before the draft that could possibly impact the draft.
Yeah.
Now, us as Jets fans, we saw Jamal Adams news about things. Maybe he might get traded. He's a high value. Like, we never know what could happen. Joe Douglas is saying he's a core of the team, which I believe Joe Douglas isn't going to trade him. I just don't see it happening. But if he does, I see us getting a lot for him. And another one that I do believe is going to happen, Leonard Fournette getting traded.
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette is most likely going to get traded. They already traded everyone else from that team. Fournette's been tweeting about it all the time. It's actually hilarious. And then after he talks about Cam Newton possibly coming over, they're like, okay, that's not going to happen. We have Minshew. You need to leave now. So he's going to be going somewhere. And we may see Jacksonville jump up for something. Or you never know. This could really impact the draft with Jacksonville.
They got plenty of picks.
Yeah. Now, we talked about a lot of different things. I remember, Rob, you were asked last night about your biggest surprise that you'll see in the top 10. And you said about the Dolphins not taking Tua. News comes out that the Dolphins are looking to trade up for an offensive tackle. So,
Rob, who were you talking to?
It wasn't. It's just it. Okay, when a team's linked to a certain player for so long, but this player that they're linked to possibly had a career-ending injury. There's a global pandemic where he can't be, they don't know how good he is.
Yeah.
So is this the smoke screen, though, that we see a lot of times happening right before where it's we don't want him. We're going to trade up, and then all of a sudden they don't do it.
Yeah, it could be because you figure that. It happens so often. Like, if you're going to trade up and you're going to get somebody, you're just going to throw people in a trillion different directions, kind of thing. We didn't know Baker was going to go as high, first overall until he did.
Yeah,
until the day, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where you can't read too much into things. But I just think certain things, Tua dropping in the draft is something that it was talked about so much when it first happened, and it just disappeared. It's like, oh no, he's still going to be the second off the board. I'm like, look. Who knows what he can really do? I do have – he's been fine, honestly, because my cousin, Elijah McAllister, he plays at Vanderbilt. Reason I'm wearing this hoodie right now, he's told me that they train close to in Nashville, and Tua actually trains at a facility not too far from where they are. So he's seen him, twice, 3 times a week throwing, and everything's, fine, but there's no scouts looking. It's just video. When you get that kind of situation, it's just tough. It's tough. Yeah. But that was my hunch with that.
That's a good hunch. Now, Dave, I have to talk about Adams with our Jets. So from what I've heard, Joe Douglas and Bill O'Brien have been on the phone, and he's going to trade Jamal Adams. So like 7th round picks.
We're not going to start this. Oh, man. We're not even going to start this.
No, I think if Joe Douglas is going to trade Adams, it is going to be for a fool's ransom. He is going to get a first-round pick for him. I think that's the bare minimum, is a first round this year in the top 10. I think that's bare minimum, has to be involved for a Jamal Adams. I don't think he's going anywhere. If I remember correctly, Leonard Fournette had 75 catches and led the Jags in receptions last year.
Leonard Fournette was a monster last year.
He was a monster, and I hope he gets traded to a good situation because, thank God, it might be a blessing to get him the hell out of there. Overall, I'm trying to think. My guy that I think is going to fall, not even talking about the biggest surprise, because I think Rob has the surprise down because he already won last night when he predicted what.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll see.
Now, going with that, if that does happen, Tua might be our fall guy. Tua might be our guy that drops into the second round, because if that injury is legit, like Rob is saying, and you compile the injury, people can't see him live. The Wonderlic score, as much as it's stupid, it's a joke, but a 13's a 13 compared to guys getting in the 30. I tweeted out, it doesn't impact you if you get a good score. It really impacts you if you get a bad score. So that's where that is with the Wonderlic. So those 3 things all say he might be dropping, and then couple that with, Herbert. There was negative chatter about him being a one-read guy, which he is, but that's kind of gone away because you see his big arm, you see he has decent footwork. He could. So there's the things that go in his favor, and Tua seems to be getting more against. Who knows? I think Tua could be the big fall guy, though. I think that's the guy that we could see. Or if Jordan Love is too much of a reclamation project, we could see him fall into the third round. I think it's a quarterback fall type of thing.
Out of everything, it's probably quarterback fall.
So surprises, I think we talked about Taylor not getting respect, being like the beast running back in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Someone could take a flyer on Taylor within the top 15. Just if they think they need an impact guy that they can hand the ball. If they don't have an offense. If you're the Jags,
that's
why
exactly
are you not going to replace Fournette with Taylor, a guy that you can give the ball 300 times the football and just go to work, let Minshew have a break? Like,
yeah, that is the one way I think we really see a running back get like picked somewhere in the first round is because if the Jags trade Fournette, they feel like they need a running back. The Jags don't know what they're doing in the first place, so I can see them just picking up a running back very early.
I mean, and the thing is, running backs are such a dime a dozen. You might be able to, get some value for Fournette. You can reach a little bit on Taylor, and then it's not that bad.
And the Jags have enough picks to do it. The Jags have enough picks to make that type of decision. It doesn't hurt them. Them, Miami, the Raiders. These are certain teams that have a lot of picks in this draft.
Yeah.
So
we're gonna see a lot of weird things in this draft.
See, I'm excited, Rob. This is the first time I think I'm gonna sit through and really watch till the end. Not get updates. I'm gonna watch, see what because there's a lot that can happen. There's a lot that can happen tomorrow night.
See, what they should do is they should allow all of us to get in on Zoom.
Stop.
And then after the picks happen, they should go to someone at random, and hopefully they're not paying attention. And they would be able to see someone shoving a nacho in their mouth, I think
so.
Well,
now that would be it's gonna be funny. It's gonna be interesting.
They need to make me a producer.
But I mean, honestly, we might as well with that. We might as well go to our next segment, if you will. So, Von Miller. I mean, Super Bowl MVP, one of the greatest defensive players to ever live. Because
Rob loves Von Miller, by the way.
He won a Super Bowl MVP. You have to say he's one of the greatest players to ever live. So, contracts the coronavirus. He's probably clear of it by now. But this did happen. He had it. I don't think he showed any symptoms. He was very healthy. Same as Rudy and Donovan Mitchell, same.
Yep,
and
yep.
Idris Elba,
KD and everyone else,
everyone else that got it, it just was, huge thing. But I mean, what do you guys think? I guess Alex, we'll start with you about. Do you think athletes are being safe enough? What can teams do? I guess what do we think is going to happen? How is football going to look in the future, kind of thing? Just.
I think it's a mixed bag. I think they're kind of like everybody else. I think some athletes are smarter than others, but I think for the most part, athletes have that Superman complex about them more than anyone. We think old in athletics is 35, so it's not old. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these dudes are younger and they're playing with millions and they could be in their own little bubble. How many of these guys have really stopped being who they are? Maybe they're not going to the club, but they're still doing things. They're still drinking. They're still hanging. They're still
having people over, all that.
Exactly. So it's how many, maybe if you're a part of the Nets and Knicks in New York, you're not doing that because you understand. But if you're, we'll talk about Utah. If you're in Utah, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? If you're in Washington where you are, in Portland, you think Dame and McCollum and all them aren't still hanging out? Come on. They're still going to the facilities. They're still doing stuff.
No, I understand that one. I think that's definitely a part of it, but I also think the way this thing travels, Von Miller could have been doing nothing. He could have gotten a delivery to his house, and the delivery guy has
just got it.
So that's the whole thing. It's obviously these athletes are going to be just like everyone else, and some of them aren't going to care as much. Some of them are going to take more liberties with what they're doing. And we'll see them get it because of that, but then we'll also see ones that are probably being as safe as they could possibly be, get it just for almost no reason. Just the most minute thing happens, and then they get it.
In terms of what the teams can do, I'm thinking, keep your facilities and everything closed until you're told otherwise. Florida, they're being told, okay, you guys can start reopening. So, do it intelligently. Don't ransack it. Don't bring everyone in at one time. Trickle people in. Like, you don't need every single secretary there at one time. I'm sorry. You don't need every executive there at the same time. You don't need every player there at the same time. Trickle it in, see how it works, get physicals going, get a trainer here to work with a small group. Do it the right way. I think teams could just be smart. But if you're in a state where you're still in lockdown, listen, don't bring dudes into the facility. Don't, if a guy needs treatment, do it on Zoom. Have the trainer tell them what to do.
Yeah,
we have enough technology where people don't have to be in person. Rob, what are you thinking about this whole situation?
My thing is just, you can get a lot out of home workouts and everything. Obviously, it's not the same as being with your teammates and everything, but there's really no, to sit there and say, oh, like, even we go to NBA players, that kind of thing. Obviously, you need to be with your team. You guys need to be together. You need to form chemistry, blah, blah, blah. You don't know when you're going to return. You don't know what's going to happen. So to sit here and be, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just not, you just got to be smart, honestly. And I mean, most guys are, in all reality. Everything's closed. They really can't, NBA teams, if they try to have people, or if NFL teams try to have people in the facility, they can get fined and sued crazy just because of everything. So they can't open anything. It's just,
you're telling me
everybody just has to be.
If LeBron goes back to Ohio for whatever reason and goes to a club and says open now, they're gonna say no. If he does that, what about Tom Brady?
No, I was gonna say, what about Tom? He was out working. He was working out, and the guy goes, "Hey, you can't be here." He didn't even know it's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So, listen, you can be a star athlete.
Have you seen Tom Brady's body? You wouldn't know it's Tom Brady either. He has a dad bod. He had a dad bod when he got drafted.
It's crazy to look at him because I saw a video recently of him dancing, and there was one of him playing basketball with Michael Jordan in the Bahamas. Just randomly saw it, and I'm one-on-one. Yep. I'm looking. And I'm like, wow, if I didn't watch sports, I was like, who is this guy? I would see him. I'd be like, man, you can't do that.
Who's this Kevin Bacon wannabe looking guy? He kind of looks like Kevin Bacon.
Oh boy, but that's just I think the best thing, everybody just be safe. Obviously, they're healthy. These are the healthiest of people in all likelihood. So that just them being able to contract it so easily just tells you kind of how dangerous this is, and we're all getting to the back end of it. But just got to be safe, man. It's just simple as that. Just stay safe if you can.
Mm-hmm. And and it's going to be a trickle. Me and David said this last week, and it's going to be logical. If you're in a highly populated area, it's probably going to take longer for it to circulate through. Yep. New York City, was it 65 million? It's something stupid, the number of people in just New York City. So you got to expect the number to be extremely high and for it to take a little bit longer, as opposed to Fargo, North Dakota, which is a city of 65 probably. Yeah. Don't add anything else. 65. And that's their major city. They have one person living in a skyscraper, and they're like, cool. So it's just got to be, we all got to be logical about this stuff.
That's how it is.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. Sorry if you saw me laughing during that. I wasn't laughing at the information. I was laughing because you sound like Dr. Evil there. But
you listen to me, all right, little boy? A freaking laser on a freaking head.
All right, but talking about athletes, we talked about one of them, Tom Brady. He was just dethroned last year in his merchandise sales. The NFLPA released their top 50 list. Top 5 goes this way: Mahomes, Brady. He's number 2. He's still as high as you can possibly be. Then it was Lamar, Zeke Elliott, and then Baker Mayfield. I don't know why Baker Mayfield's number 5. Brown fans still love him. But those are our top 5. Us Jets fans got 3 Jets in there: Sam Darnold, Lev Bell, and Jamal Adams. I'm very happy about that. At least we have people buying jerseys. People are at least somewhat proud to be Jets fans. But what do you guys think about Brady finally being dethroned? Pat's definitely the new face of the NFL. But it's interesting to see the changing of the guard here.
I'll jump in first. If Tommy has a decent year he's already won the battle so far. I think early on. Now, Tom Brady is winning the jersey and everything sales with him going to the Bucs. If he plays well, then I think he'll regain it, because it's the first time he's been dethroned in 3 years. Patty Mahomes deserves it. He's a monster. But if they kind of trickle out, and if Kansas City is as good as Kansas City's going to be, they're 10-13 win team at minimum, then I think you're going to see Pat Mahomes take it again. The only guy I think that could challenge him on this list is Lamar. If Lamar has another outstanding season, then that's a guy that I think we'll see. Outside of that, if Saquon has a huge year being in the New York market, he has a chance.
He got a 2,200 yards in order.
Yeah,
something like that.
If he has something, if he comes near LT's like touchdown record, or
it's possible.
Something insane.
Not New York market. Like if we see Lev or like Sam show out crazy, they'll be top 5 probably. Like
the surprising guy for me, Christian McCaffrey was only at 23, arguably the most complete football player right now in offense, besides like Pat Mahomes. Like, it's insane that he's all the way down there. You said our Jets. Sam was at 25, and then you had Lev at 40 and Jamal at 41, respectively, which, like you said, it's pretty cool just to see that. Now, James Conner made this list at 47. Why are Steelers fans drunk?
You know what? I think the Conner thing, you know what it is? I think it's the cancer thing. I think people still really hang on to the cancer thing, and they're like, it's so cool. This guy's still in the NFL. So, I mean, I think that's probably his big thing there with Conner.
And we have to do this. All of us three here, we need to make a pact. Gardner Minshew's at 43. Let's get him into the 40. Let's each buy a Minshew jersey. I don't care.
Rob doesn't like Minshew.
I would with Skoducks, bro. Skoducks. He was watching.
You know what, Rob? You gotta. You know what? You're just mad that you cannot wear a cutoff like he can. All right.
I know. No, that guy. He's an interesting. Like, I really do love him, but if it wasn't for his college and the fact that they almost dethrone Oregon from being number 1 in the Pac-12 every year. Literally, it's a good game.
Here's a real question for you. You were in the football locker room with Fairleigh Dickinson. Yes. How would you feel if this freshman comes in and starts doing naked yoga before games? This dude was a rookie doing naked yoga.
If he's going to throw 35 touchdowns,
he can do whatever he wants.
He can do whatever he wants. I've been through some bad quarterbacks before. FDU wasn't as bad. FDU was pretty good. Pace, though, quarterback. So I know what that – if he can throw 35, I do not care what he does.
Have you ever been through naked yoga in the locker room?
You know what, Alex? I've been through quite
He doesn't want to divulge the information.
Close. We've been through close and almost worse at times. So there's that. That is just how it goes, bro. But if I could just – the only thing about the jerseys, right? So – obviously, ready? Okay, so I was just talking to you guys about the Madden franchise. I sim the first year. Guess who wins MVP?
I saw that.
Sam. Yeah, Sam Darnold. Sam won it. So, okay, if that happens, then we'll see Sam in the top 5.
Listen, Rob, I'll tell you right now, Rob, listen. This is the same video game that when the Jets had Mark Sanchez as a rookie – when I did my careers, I would get to like year 4 or 5. He was a 96.
That's like crazy, bro. Like Jachai Polite. Jachai Polite would turn in like 87 after his first year. Like it was
he
like
would throw like 4,700 yards, and like when I simmed it and stuff, and I was like, this isn't real. 4,700 yards. Bad. And it's like he would have like 50 touchdowns and like 15 interceptions. Like reverse that if you're Mark Sanchez. Like,
it's just but and then also the other thing, just with jersey sales and Mahomes being so good, I just hate how we get like, Love's good, he has a high ceiling, he's automatically Patrick Mahomes. That's just he can run the ball, he can throw it a mile. Patrick Mahomes, and you just don't want to you're putting that kind of pressure on a dude, and it's like, okay, well, you're either Patrick Mahomes or you're Brett Hundley kind of thing. Like that's what 100%. You are, and it's like
the comparison market. That's what sports are. We're going to talk about this later in this podcast. We're going to talk about one of the biggest comparisons out there.
Well, you look at Lamar, and Lamar is trying to be Lamar. He's not trying to be Mike Vick, but those comparisons are there. And if you watch Mike Vick play, they're not the same player. They don't.
No, they aren't. Not at all.
Where Lamar is doing a lot of designed runs. And, his throwing was his weakness, where Mike wasn't the most accurate in the pocket, but his throwing was never his weakness. He could throw the football coming out of college. That was never a question. Vic,
flick of a wrist like 80 yards.
He would improvise. His running was improvising. It was nothing's there. I'm going to go now. So, yes, Lamar broke his record, but I think he had over 100 more rushes. It was like a bizarre thing, and I'm not taking anything away from Lamar, but that's the issue with the comparison game. And we talked last night, P.J. Walker, he's another one compared to Patty. If P.J. Walker was Patty, he wouldn't have been in the XFL. Like,
that's what I'm saying, man.
You know what I mean? So that game is there.
One spot-on comparison, and he even when he got drafted, he was trying to be just like him, and he did the same photo shoot. Kind of Baker and Favre. I mean, it is. I was watching Favre highlights. Spot on. It is. They're the same. If they can figure out a way to offensive game plan, just Same. I mean, they are the same.
Baker doesn't have the arm strength that Favre has.
Yeah, no. We also
is the hardest throw I've ever seen.
Also, I would want to ask Baker what a cover 2 is, because Brett Favre didn't even know what a cover 2 was. The man was out there playing backyard football and winning Super Bowls.
I watched
one. He only won one.
But I'm just that's more than a lot of other people.
Him and Peyton threw for like 350 plus yards each one game. I watched it. It was like a 2006 or 2004 game. And like you said, Alex, he threw the ball. He threw the absolute shit out of the ball. I have to use it. He threw it so hard. He literally threw the ball. I've never seen someone just in a quick release too. Like
I remember being young, and you guys probably wouldn't remember. It was when Favre really came. He came into his own. He was bringing the Green Bay really up, and I remember watching on SportsCenter. They did a thing because it was always talks about how hard Brett Favre threw the football, and every receiver to a T. They would bring the training camp. They all had their fingers taped together and things like that. And one of the better receivers of my generation, Antonio Freeman, was a fantastic possession receiver for the Packers. He said he'd be like, I don't want to run curl routes. I don't want to run hitch routes or drags. He goes, because he doesn't know how to throw. He's like, I could be wide open. He said, I have never dislocated, broken, and jammed so many fingers. He's like, I maybe break or jam a finger every time I catch a ball. He goes, he's like, deep balls aren't supposed to hurt. He goes, the man throwing the ball
that's crazy.
25 yards down, and he's like, it's hitting my palm, and I go away with the bruise. Like, he didn't know how to lob the ball. He didn't unless it was a backhand. He was throwing 7,000 miles an hour.
Like, you better catch it. It's gonna hurt either way. You better catch it.
Speaking of Brett Favre, have you guys ever watched? I know I've showed you, Dave, the Brett Favre moments where he's saying things like it was like a clip,
mic'd up. Yeah,
mic'd up. Have you ever watched Brett Favre mic'd up, Rob?
I haven't. I need to.
You will laugh. Hysterical. Have you ever heard me say take 2 weeks off then quit? That's Brett Favre.
Yeah.
He tells a guy to take 2
weeks
off.
He told the ref.
Take 2 weeks off then quit. He called the footballs. He said the footballs might be made out of silicone because they feel nice. Like these are. Brett was a character. You need to listen to Brett Favre mic'd up. You will crack up the whole time. That's for everybody out there. Go look up YouTube. Brett Favre mic'd up. He comments on the pants. Bubba, them the tightest looking pants you ever worn. It's awesome. But we are going to slide in from a lot of fun.
It's time for you to get angry.
To a lot of horse manure.
It's time for you to get angry.
So we've discovered, Rob, Dave, are you guys ready to become pro athletes? Are you let's just juice up. Let's just do whatever we got to do to become baseball players, because obviously there's no penalties anymore for cheating.
At all for anything.
No penalties for cheating. So the Boston Red Sox, so get this, everybody. So we know the Houston Astros, their manager and their GM got suspended. A franchise can't run, especially baseball, without a manager and a GM. Players got zero, right? So we were all waiting on Boston to get something. So Alex Cora got suspended for the year in the playoffs, right? That's all. That's whatever. We figured that. But not for anything that happened in Boston.
No.
Only for his actions on Houston. So what do we think automatically? Oh, Boston's clean, right? They didn't cheat. No. No, they did. That tricky replay operator. You really got to watch for those guys.
That is
they
so
are
crazy.
The replay operator, they even mentioned the guy's name. Didn't write it down. Don't care. He's suspended through the playoffs. How are the Red Sox gonna function without their replay
guy? It's like
they lost a second-round draft pick. Yeah, crickets. Thanks. Yeah. This is stupid. Rob Manfred, you are the worst commissioner in the history of sports. You make Gary Bettman look competent. You make Oliver Luck look happy. Like Oliver Luck could come in with no experience and run baseball
and run better.
Yeah,
he really could. Honestly, I think the thing that really got me is like, okay, once this Astros thing happens, and we're like, I'm listening to sports radio, they're saying, it's got to be big, it's got to be big, it's got to be something that tells them not, and we get. It was the 1 year suspension, right? Is what the Houston front office got, right? They got a 1 year.
It was 1 year for the GM and 1 year for the coach, and then they both ended up getting canned. Now this isn't even a slap on the wrist, though. This is literally Rob Manfred just went to him and went, "Here, give me your armpit. I tickled you. Okay, you're good now."
Them. And my thing is, it's like, what what precedent are you setting? Like, this is so blatant. This is making a difference. This is not something that's like, okay, the Patriots were like stealing film and they obviously don't really need to, but they did it just because kind of thing. Like, but this is like, no. Chapman has 2 pitches, right? And we are buzzing in when he's going to throw not something that's not 105 miles an hour.
Exactly.
Like, how is this not a problem? I just don't. It blows my mind, bro. Like, this is so clearly and obviously affecting a game. They have won a championship. They won a good team.
Now, Rob, this would be identical to playing. You know, you're playing football and you're a middle linebacker and you have the mic in your ear, and you know,
run pass,
not from reading tape or not from anything, but just from the cadence and the formation, you know exactly when it's a run or a pass, not necessarily exactly what it is, but which one it is. That's a huge advantage.
And I would go as far as to say, you know which way it's going. That kind of thing. That's how much advantage it is. Like, it's ridiculous. It is just, I don't know how there's this slap on the wrist, how baseball, but honest, I don't know. Is it that they just don't want to suspend people because they want to keep their ratings up? Is it something to do with that? I don't know.
Fake integrity.
The logic
most fake integrity sport of all time.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
Yeah, it's funny because we went from the whole Black Sox scandal to this. At least baseball kind of cared about their integrity back then.
Yeah.
But now, Rob Manfred I think that's what it is, Rob. They're very scared of losing players. They know their best player in the league, Mike Trout, they haven't marketed him. They haven't marketed him at all. At all.
So people don't care.
If you can't market your best player in your league, you're going to keep whatever players people like, no matter if they cheated or not.
Yeah. Yep.
So I think that is the biggest thing. And that's why Manfred's looking here like, I need to do something. But it can't be big. I can't do anything to players. Like, the poor replay official. I don't even know how much he was actually included in that. The man's probably just doing his job.
Yeah, blame somebody else besides that's not even believable.
Like, he's done. He's never going to be able to do anything ever again. Like,
make it believable. Like, okay, you know what? The quality control coach was the one that orchestrated it because he's close to the guys, or the bench coach. No. Like, do I want them on? Make it a believable guy.
Honestly, they should have fired a landscaper. The landscaper, the way the grass was cut, the way it was all cut, is shining perfectly on the camera so they could hear everything. The acoustics in the stadium, due to how it was cut, you could hear the trash can. So it just worked. It just worked.
You know what I'm sad about? Do you guys remember the show Doug?
Yes.
That no one has talked about the "Banging on a Trash Can" song from Doug. Banging on a trash can, like that is.
Forgot about. I mean, that was
perfect example here. Someone needs to do a meme where that's happening, and it's just Astros and Red Sox faces on Doug every time banging on the trash can like that. I'm not talented enough to do it. Someone needs to do that.
Yeah, fine. Just one more point about this, if we're gonna move on or whatever we're doing. It's just like, okay, I was so happy when the Mets had Beltran as
I know the Mets really got screwed in this.
I was so happy. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, he's part of. Oh, this is a real thing. They really did. Oh, he's gonna get fired. Oh, okay. It was fun.
Blame the Mets for this one though.
But you know what though? But you know what though? They're not. They weren't hurting players. Beltran.
Yeah, that's the only. I just.
I genuinely do feel bad about the Mets for this one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And I'm waiting for it to come out because I don't think if it was told. Did the Mets know he was involved as close as he was, or did he lie? Because that's the difference. If he lied, then he's got to go. But if he was upfront with them, then this is the Mets' fault.
I think either he lied or he wasn't completely truthful, kind of thing. Because I think all parties were kind of just like, well, maybe nothing happens from it, because the original video came from like a dude on like a YouTuber, pretty much, right? Like some guy who's a social media guy. So
hey, don't call John Boy a YouTuber. Talking Yanks is one of the best podcasts out there, baby. One of the best Yankees podcasts.
Okay, he's a huge baseball guy.
John Boy is he's really good at what he does. Yeah,
big name. See that? Like when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, this is some like guy on Twitter just saying, and then later on, I'm like, oh no, this is like the guy of all guys with baseball. So
when Barstool gave him credence to whole millennial populations, like real Barstool said it. Like,
but I mean, the way people were talking about it, I'm like, okay, this guy must be the real deal. I never heard of him, but I mean, hey, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna move off that. I'm a little sad that you didn't get angrier, brother. I'm a little sad because I like your rants. I like your rants.
How much more angry can I possibly get? Like,
that's true. This has been the same situation. You've already done it. So
like if Rob Manfred was a Pokemon, he'd be a Mr. Mime. You know what? That's the best comparison because he's absolutely useless. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's.
Listen. I
leave
can
all my millennials with that.
I can disagree with that, but I'm not going to get into it.
We're not on KDoc's podcast, so we don't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We're not going to get into it. We don't need to get into
it.
But we're going to move on to something that might have made you angry when it was first debated. But The Last Dance came out. The first 2 episodes of The Last Dance came out. I have not been able to watch it yet. I'm an essential worker, so I've been kind of busy and I need sleep. So I've not been able to sit down and actually watch it.
Don't let people lie to you, Dave. You're not essential.
I mean, I don't feel like it, but apparently I am. I know you've watched it, Alex, but have you watched any of it?
Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes. I was watching.
Yeah.
How'd you guys like it?
Yeah. Rob, you can go first.
I mean, it was good. I think it's one of those things where obviously Michael Jordan was such a huge name, huge figure kind of thing that even, here in Washington at my girlfriend's house, everyone's watching, her mom, the sister-in-law, everybody gets around. Like, Michael Jordan will see what he had to talk about, and everybody has opinions. So it's one of those things you watch, everybody kind of puts their 2 cents in, you kind of get more respect for him. There's kids who are going to be in high school who really, Michael Jordan existed, but like, LeBron,
really
Kobe
know.
kind of thing. They don't really know. So I mean, it's just, I think it's good. It's good. It's giving us a little different perspective, but being a real sports fan, understanding and knowing things, I think I'm more of there's things that are rubbing me the wrong way kind of thing with it. That's where I'm at with it.
I need to watch that then.
The way that I've been watching it, I'm curious with a few things. One, I think when you see what he did and the way he played, not necessarily the numbers, just watching the guy play, it kind of puts some of the superstars that we have in their place a little bit. You just to see him, and I tweeted out, like, if anyone's watching A Last Dance, to be a true superstar, it's all about the mid-range, period. And it's still true to this day. If you could shoot the mid-range, Steph Curry's is the best three-point shooter, probably arguably ever, but he's still got a mid-range game. When he needs to get down, he shoots his mid-range and he doesn't miss. Klay Thompson, same way, 2 of the best shooters ever. You need a mid-range game to be one of the greatest ever. That's number one. What I also want to look at is if you compare this documentary, the Bad Boy Pistons documentary, they talked MJ in the Bad Boy Pistons documentary. And one of the things they talked about is they beat the ever-loving hell out of him, and they beat him. We haven't seen that side yet. I wonder, it's a 10-part docuseries, so it may become the difficulties of during the Bulls era. That might happen. But as of now, the first 2 episodes, all it's been painted is Michael Jordan was a god. That's really God with the will to win and wouldn't lose, wouldn't accept losing. We haven't seen him punch any of his players in the face, which we know happened a lot. I'm curious if that happened, if we're going to see that. They didn't talk about his gambling issues, which is well documented. Again, it's a long series, but another thing that annoys me is the players are right. The front office is awful. I don't like that. You don't want to give the front office too much credit because they only put guys in places. But God, if you look, just by looking a little bit, the roster when Michael got there compared to even at the end in '98, that was all the GM that put that roster together. And he's getting destroyed right now. And he passed away in 2017, so he can't even defend himself. So that kind of annoyed me. Dave, you have to watch this. And then next week, we need to really, need to get into it as well.
I know. I definitely need to watch it because I like these types of documentaries. I love 30 for 30s. Yeah. So I need to watch it. I've always liked MJ, and I completely agree with needing the mid-range game. Even with analytics, you see the mid-range isn't used because most people don't hit it consistently. So you don't want to cost yourself a possession. But if you can hit it consistently, you're going to win your team games because no one's guarding that. They're guarding 3-point line to paint.
The current best players have the mid-range.
Exactly.
Kyrie, LeBron, Paul George, they're all mid-range guys.
Yeah. I mean, Dame can, Dame and CJ, same thing.
Exactly.
They can make them.
That elbow jumper is still their game.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead.
And this brings about the really big debate yet again. MJ versus LeBron. Now, I like the fun one that you brought up in our group and you retweeted on Twitter, Alex. It was who would be better, MJ in today's day and age or LeBron back then? And we fall on different
one.
No, it's not. It's not really relevant too much, but it's a lot more fun to talk about it this way than just who's better. At least you can add some different kind of things to this.
Mm-hmm.
I go with MJ. You go with LeBron. I don't know if Rob, you saw this one at all. I think this is a more interesting question than just MJ versus LeBron all the time.
Yeah. Rob, you could definitely go first since me and David have been documented, and we'll talk about it a little bit.
So the question was LeBron then or MJ now? Huh?
Yeah.
LeBron in the 90s, MJ in the 2010s.
Ooh.
Who would eat more?
See, I'm gonna say I think there's a lot that we just don't get to see. We know what Jordan could do now. I don't know if we know how Bron could play then, just because the rules are so like MJ, we know he can come off a screen, he can come off a trillion screens, hit a shot with somebody in his face. You know what I'm saying? Like he's gonna be, he's gonna be able to score like Devin Booker. He's gonna have a Kobe feel to him, kind of thing. He's gonna feel his way around, score a bunch of points. It's designed for him. If I had to pick, I would say MJ just because he's able to just shoot at such a crazy volume and just make them every single time, kind of thing. Like he's just able to, shoot in volume better than Bron. I think that's really what it comes down to. But Bron, then I just don't see it because there's there's no 34 foot, and at this age too, I think is another thing because prime Bron it might be pretty even if he's in his prime.
Prime versus prime. We talk prime versus prime.
Okay, talking about prime. Honestly, I think it's too close to call, bro. Like you got to think about how. Yeah, I just think it's. But if I had, I still think Michael would be better just because of the volume. I mean, Bron does. He has a lot of volume too, but there's a lot to consider. It's splitting hairs, but I'm going with MJ. I'm going MJ now. In all honesty, I'm barely.
Now wait. Now, do you want to retort, Alex, or do you want me to just add a little more onto this?
Go ahead. Since you're on the same side, you can add, and then I'll come in and do my thing.
Okay. See, I almost the same thing as Rob. We already seen a lot of what MJ can do, and you think about it. Listen, I love the way LeBron plays. You know how I talk about the way LeBron plays. He's not entirely scorer first. He likes to get the ball around. That's why he likes having his team perform so well. But Michael is incredible on offense. Like that man, if the game is like within question and he feels like ending it, he's going to do it himself. And his ability to score, like we just talked about mid-range, especially in this day and age, they're not covering that mid-range. They simply aren't. And they're too late coming out of the paint to get a hand in your face. If you're not getting a hand in Michael Jordan's face, he's hitting that every time. And I believe that even if he needs to, he'll be able to step back and hit a three. It's no problem for Michael Jordan. Yeah, he can do so much on offense, and he is great defensively. Like Michael Jordan was also great defensively, so he's going to still put clamps on people. I got to go with MJ. I believe LeBron would be extremely dominant back then as well, but I don't know. I just see MJ in the 2010s over LeBron back then.
The reason why, and I agree with you guys how close it is, it's hair splitting. The reason why I say LeBron, I agree with everything you guys say about MJ. The only thing I would disagree with is he didn't see this type of athleticism. The athleticism of the game is better. Yeah. There's more guys that can, no one can guard Michael Jordan. There's no one that can guard Michael Jordan in the beginning of basketball all the way till the end basketball is going to be played. I don't care who does it. No one can guard him.
It's not
but there's more people that can annoy him. They can't hand check him, so it's different. But there's more athletes on the floor now. Dave, you said he could step back and shoot a three. Yeah, but the way this game demands you shooting threes is different than back then. Take away LeBron basically having to shoot threes and having him live within the arc. And I don't think LeBron passes as much. I think LeBron is literally destroying. He is Sean Kemp that can really shoot. And Sean Kemp and Dominic Wilkins are two guys. I forget. I'm confusing them.
Dominique, yeah.
Dominique. He's both of those guys in terms of athleticism, but he can score at the level of Michael when he wants to. We've seen LeBron. And, people brought it up. Everyone was they put it up in the documentary. He got praised for the first two games against the Celtics and lost both of them in his great performances, 63 in a loss. LeBron goes 51-8-8 in a loss against the best Golden State team, possibly the best regular season team in the history of the game in game one.
Oh yeah, people
loses and he gets destroyed.
Yeah,
it's and it's in a time now where he has to shoot the three. If you put him in that generation, he is Magic Johnson, but better. And
bigger.
Magic is a top 10 player of all time. We're not having Michael versus LeBron discussions if LeBron is in Michael's era. Michael is the number 2 player of all time if he plays in this era, just because everyone's a volume scorer. Everyone's a superstar volume scorer.
Well, I know it would also be Michael's a number 2 player if he plays in this era because LeBron came first. That would also be another reason as to
but
that
I
as
think
well.
LeBron would
it would
do
just be
things,
a time thing.
I feel like LeBron would go after the scoring record. I feel like that's how much he would be able to score in that generation. He's already a physical monster, and people pretend like he didn't come in the league when the league was still physical. People are like, he plays in a soft league. When LeBron came in, you could still go in the paint and get destroyed because you went in the paint. He did.
Yeah.
The 19-year-old kid going in the paint was getting knocked down left and right. So I go LeBron too because there's no one that's been more talented that's ever touched a basketball. Period.
Yeah.
He's
but also, I think
ever.
I agree. I completely agree. I think the only thing that makes this like it's a handcuff question when you really ask it because
oh my God,
you're like
you can't be wrong, really.
Yeah, but Bron grew up like this is the reason why these arguments are kind of I get why people do it. It's fun. I get it. But like the reason, okay, Bron grew up watching AI play. You know what I'm saying? He grew up watching these guys who just breaking dudes off. He's like, oh, I'm gonna dribble. I'm gonna be like AI. I'm gonna be like Jason Williams. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Jason Kidd kind of thing. He's trying to be this guy. No one was doing. I mean, you had Tim Hardaway doing like a killer crossover back in Jordan, and that was like during Jordan's time. When Jordan first came into the league, no one was doing that. Like that clip of Michael Jordan going between the legs twice on Larry Bird scoring 63 in game 2. That whole thing was like unheard of. Guys really handling the ball like that. So I think when you take into consideration how you develop as a basketball player over time, LeBron would not have been like crossover, no look pass, throwing two skip passes over.
He would be more like Magic was, where it was a one move and then maybe a great pass or take. So I definitely there's so much nuance that I think it's dumb if people don't agree that they are both tied for number one. It's 1 and 1A.
It really should be tied.
And it doesn't matter which way you put them, but it's 1 and 1A.
And I mean, it's interesting with the Kobe argument too, because it's kind of like we saw a Jordan in between LeBron and Jordan.
He never reached, with the championships and everything. Kobe still never. He was never a threat to ever pass Michael. He wasn't. He never really threatened him. Where there's legitimate debate on whether or not LeBron can threaten to pass Michael.
And
that's the thing.
And it's funny because I get that, but the weirdest thing about Kobe is that he ended up being a completely different beast. Like
Kobe ended up being Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe is Kobe. Kobe is not even attached to a name anymore. LeBron is still attached to Michael. Now I know LeBron is his own guy as well. He does so much shit as well. But Kobe is his own guy entirely. Even before his tragic death, he was his own guy.
I think one thing that separates those three, when you talk Michael, you got people argue now though he needed Pippen and Robin, but before you never talked he needed anybody. When you talk LeBron, people can argue he went to the Heat, but it was LeBron and the guys. When you talk Kobe, there's still the debate. When Kobe first won it, was it Kobe or Shaq? And that's a debate that he's never going to shake. Where with Michael, you would say it was Michael and Scottie. With LeBron, you would say it's LeBron and D Wade.
Yeah.
When it was
LeBron,
Kobe, it was, was it Kobe or was it Shaq? You look at Shaq's numbers in the playoffs. I retweeted it. I think for 3 straight playoffs, it was like 31, 36, 32, and then it was like 16 rebounds, 12 rebounds, 14 rebounds. And
it was nuts.
So it's like there was never that debate where anyone else can overshadow Michael or LeBron, where there is that overshadowing debate with Kobe earlier in his career.
And it's sad because it creates like a weird, you hate to say it, but it's like, it clearly was Michael and LeBron that were having the real, and there's the Kobe stands. There's people who be like, no, Kobe. But like until he died, it literally that really wasn't as much of a You could say it, but it was more of a you're just coming from a I love basketball, I love Kobe Bryant position.
The thing is,
that's just what it is.
Kobe and may not even be the greatest Laker of all time. So it's like you can't argue it when he's not even the head and shoulders best player in his own franchise. And I love Kobe; he's amazing. But that's kind of where it is. But I think we got to move on a little, Earl. This is yours.
We do.
Yep. You're the lead man on this one.
Oh, I'm back on. Okay. So we're on basketball. Sorry, I forgot about it. I thought we were going to the USSF.
No, it's all good.
All right, so Jalen Green, #1 high school player in the class of 2021, right? Okay, so he decides he's going to go to the G League over college. So this creates an interesting question. Where do we go? Do we go to Australia like LaMelo? Do we start playing, in Spain kind of thing? What is the template for top 15 recruits? What are we doing? Are we making money? Are we not making money? Are we going to play in front of people on a college campus? What are we doing, David? What are we
Dave,
doing?
you definitely had this first because we talked about this already on a show.
Yeah, we have.
Ago. So
we have. And I think we're going to see college start really sweating over this because it's showing that if you're good enough, you don't need college. And even if you go to college, if you're good enough, you're there for 1 year anyway. Yeah. So why the hell are you going to go to college for 1 year, not be able to make any money off your likeness? I mean, you might be getting something under the table. You never know.
Well, now they can, though. They can, starting in a few years, they can make money on their likeness. Remember, that is true. Pass.
That is true because they had to do that. But
they got forced to.
You could have a chance to improve more and make some more money if you go to these other locations. So I think we're going to see top-end talent start doing this a lot more until the NCAA realizes that they can't be so harsh on their players, otherwise they're going to leave. In a free marketplace like this, they're just going to find better opportunities, especially when you have a player on your Virginia squad that is in the national championships getting married, and you take down his register because he can't make money during this time. He can't, that's insane.
So dumb.
Yeah. Me, Rob, and Colton, we did that roundtable about this when it came out. Bolt had the good idea to do that. But, my point was there, and I'm on the side with Dave, this could be bad for college. Yes, they can make money off their likeness, but it's a guaranteed cool $500,000 to go play in the G League. At least, and you can make more if you're good. If you have incentives, you hit them. So it's a guaranteed cool mill. Injured, not injured, whatever you do, how you play, shitty, great, guaranteed. Where even with the making money off their likeness, unless you are a top 5 guy, are you going to make $500,000? Like, let's be honest. The names are still bigger in football. That really benefits football more. I think college basketball, the one and done has kind of turned people off because nobody looks for the depth anymore. They look for those one and done. Who's the big one and done guy this year? And then they don't care about anybody else. So it's like there's some great players that we don't even know about, and I think this is going to hurt them some more. I was saying that college should protect themselves. The one and done rule is going to go. But they need to say, if you're going to go to the G League, you can't come back. That's your route. You can't come to college because you're a pro, so that's already dead. Or if you decide to try and go out of high school, you cannot go back to college. You have to go to G League or across. We don't want you anyway. If you come to college, you got to stay for a minimum of 2. I initially said 4, but a minimum of 2. You got to give us half your career, like your collegiate career here. They got to protect themselves. So, Rob, you have an opinion on this.
So, my opinion was just that, it's kind of like how almost everything else works. My guess is that the NCAA will figure it out. We'll get a couple, maybe 2 or 3 years of kids going to the G League, going to whatever country, whatever they want to do kind of thing. And then NCAA will figure it out, and they'll end up being the big dogs because they got, most money, that kind of. But something that, to think about, and that I just thought about when you were talking, Alex, Adam Silver is very willing to do things to, make the NBA as great as he possibly can.
And he's a player's guy. He's
very good. He's very good at doing these things. So if he can find, I think it's Silver versus the NCAA, and ultimately I think the NCAA is going to win because Silver's not too concerned about making the G League this great thing. But if he can make a change, just like the All-Star game this year, he makes a change. It's a hit. Nobody expects it. You see when I first read the rules for All-Star game, I'm like, bro, this is dumb. This is never going to work.
Because me and David liked it because we like the big 3. So I think we were both on board anyway because we were big 3 fans anyway.
Yeah,
and it was similar to that.
Yeah, and I could see it. I could see it, but until I saw it happen, and I'm sitting here watching on the edge of my seat for an all-star game,
that they were
I'm like,
really
wow,
bowling at the end. They're playing defense. They don't play defense.
Everything came together. So, I mean, if he can somehow, lightning in a bottle again with this, maybe it does happen, because Adam Silver is by far the best commissioner we have in all of professional sports. I think he is. He just is. Yeah. So if he can figure it out, maybe. But at the end of the day, money talks.
See, Rob, I didn't think of it that way. I didn't think of it that way with Silver versus the NCAA, and that brings up a new perspective, because if Silver can now cut out the middleman, the NCAA is the middleman. If Silver can, because he runs the G League is the NBA. If he can now cut out the middleman for the top guys and start to sit there and get to know his future superstars right away and work with them and get them in a pro program right away,
then it can happen.
He might pounce. And you said he might not be worried about the G League. Maybe he is.
Maybe
he would be worried now. And one of the things I want to ask is the G League going to become more watchable? Maybe not next year, but in a few years, if this continues to happen and we continue to get these talented dudes coming in, and now I think I said to, Robin Colt, the G League is now going to get deeper, because as more of these guys come, they're going to kick out the bottom talent to make room for these dudes. So we're going to get a lot more talent, and the guys that are already there are on notice. They are now on notice. Step your damn games up. You're getting potential Bronnies coming in, LeBron James type of talent coming in. You need to show out and not get embarrassed. You're 26, 27 years old. Do not let this 19-year-old kick your ass, or you're never getting to the league.
And I think a huge thing to talk about is just the quality. If they could have gotten LaMelo to go to the G League last year, imagine how big that would have been. If you can get Zion to go to the G League, imagine how big that is.
John Morant
sounds
2 years ago. Yep.
If you can do this with these guys, LeVar had the right idea. He tried to make his own version of this, but he just did it way too quickly. He didn't have the money. And it screams the same thing we had with the AAF, with the XFL. There's a market for this. There is a real market for this kind of thing, but you just have to find a way to do it. That's where we're at.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you look at the G League, and it genuinely has worked out as a developmental league for basketball. We have seen so many. We have seen so many players come up and be very good in the NBA.
Alex Caruso. Caruso, Pat Beverly, Spencer Dinwiddie, Gerald Green, and these are guys currently playing.
There's been so many G League players coming out and playing very well in the NBA. So not only does that help it, but you guys are talking about, if you can get top end talent there making money and have the better chance at getting to the NBA, it's going to happen. I mean, there's going to be the allure of playing in front of a lot of fans in the NCAA. There's going to be allure of the prestige of those colleges. But when you have the G League, when you have Euro teams you can go to, because let's not forget, they're still looking over in Euro leagues. You got very good Euro players coming over, so they're going to be paying more attention if they keep coming over like that. So, when you have a big marketplace like this and it keeps growing, that's when you should be scared. That's when you should be thinking about, okay, how do I fix my program so that people are still interested in coming?
See, Rob, you had a good point on the show with Cole, though. Who is Jalen Green? We don't know. That's part of the issue. We know Zion. We knew LeBron. We don't really know many top number one high school picks until they get into college. When they commit to Duke, when they commit to Kansas, UNC, Arizona, that's when people start to research them, because those massive fan bases start to blow them up. There really isn't a fan base in the G League, so it's really going to be up to the NBA now. The NBA is going to have to start promoting these kids that are already superstars.
Absolutely.
Jalen Green is now going to have to be promoted as a great player, whether he sucks or not. He's going to have to be promoted as the next LeBron James.
See, I think the big thing for the G League, and I can say it in confidence now, there's this kid, Mikey. I don't know what his actual name is. I know his Instagram tag is @Mikey. That's just his thing. I don't know what his name is. He's cold. The boy is cold. That's how, David. He's cold. I mean, LeBron goes to all his games, kind of the games he can see. LeBron will go to those games, and he's in Bronny's class, kind of thing. So depending on what Bronny and Mikey do, in 3 years, that might set the standard for what superstars are going to be doing with this whole thing. And if the NCAA can figure it out, that the NCAA needs to figure it out by the time the freshman class right now in high school gets to being professional college. Once they're in that first year, they need to figure this out, because
NCAA needs to talk to LeBron.
That's
because that was my conspiracy, that LeBron went to Adam Silver and wanted this to be pushed because he wanted Bronny to get fast-tracked into the NBA regardless. Bronny's going to be a top 50 player, I think, in the country. He might not be the best, but I think he's going to be a top 50 player.
You're real good. Good.
So that gives him the opportunity to make the decision to go. So I think this is LeBron, a little bit of conspiracy and not a bad one. And LeBron's also a businessman. So if he could sit there and say, get my son $500,000 and then get my son in the league so I can play with him as quick as possible. Because if he goes to college and gets exposed as a freshman, he might have to stay another year.
Could happen.
If he goes to the G League in the one and done situation, he's got to go. He's got to get in the draft. He's got to go in right after that 1 year. So I think that's my conspiracy. So college needs to get on the horn with LeBron and be like, dude, stop. Tell him to call off the dog. We don't need this. All right. So we're going to jump on to our last topic of the show. Dave, there's been a little while that I have been saying that in 20 years, soccer is going to be the fourth biggest sport in the United States. I've said that for a while, right, Dave? I said it was going to take over hockey. And that it had a chance of taking over baseball if baseball continues a downward trajectory. Not anymore, Dave. They are stupid people running USSF, the United States Soccer Federation. They just canned their chief administrative officer, Brian Remedy, and I don't know how to say his last name, and chief talent and inclusion officer, Tanya Wallach, which I don't know what the hell that means. I don't know what she did. But these are two top people, and one of the main reasons they had to close their academies, which I don't know if it's because of the pandemic, but they closed their academies, which was something they were trying to do to compete with the European countries and all these other countries that have soccer academies. And now they go on, they created another youth league as a path to this is embarrassing. We're the most, I'm pulling a little bit of Bernie Sanders. We're the most wealthy country in the world. Like, I can't figure out how to make a soccer program. Like, our B+ talent should be able to play soccer and still compete on the world stage. Like, we have that many people. Like, this is the exact way to now lose any momentum you had with, beating England 8 years ago, 9 years, whatever it was, in the World Cup with that stupid between the legs goal that they had, but you still beat them. That was huge momentum. You played Germany tough during the Klinsmann era a few times. You've had stumbles, but there's been so much talks about, international players that have United States ties that want to wear the red, white, and blue. That was because we were able to outreach for a lot of these things. And we were able to take kids coming out of middle school and saying, you're a high school athlete that's doing 4 years of nothing but soccer. You're going to get your education and you're going to play some soccer. That's what they do in the other countries. That's how they find all this young talent. We're not doing it anymore. This is not going to work. Collegiate soccer sucks. It doesn't prepare anybody for the MLS. They play different rules. They can sub as much as they want. The field is a different size. The time is different. They don't do stoppage. It is such a stupid game in college. And now we're going to make another youth league. What are they doing?
Hey, Rob,
see, because I have a lot to say from my lack of knowledge with soccer, but I know sports and how sports works and how kids get interested, that kind of thing. What really gets kids into it, kind of thing. And I wish Matt was here just because I would love to hear someone who has, he's like deep into a soccer background kind of thing. But my thought is this, right? So obviously I love USA soccer. A World Cup comes on, I'm watching it. If a Gold Cup comes on, I'm watching. Like, I'm locked in, Timothy Way kind of thing. He fell off, but, Christian Pulisic, he's Captain America. It landed down when he was Captain America. Loved him too. Josie when he was playing kind of thing. You love these certain guys and you watch when the time comes. Every other country has youth academies. I mean, I could be wrong. There could be some places
big countries do
leagues, but that's what you do. You play FIFA. You go on. You find this kid who's cold at 13, and you develop him, and he ends up being one of the best players in the world. That's how it works, kind of thing. So for us to think, oh, we're going to go and change and do, I just don't see it. I don't get why there's just I guess you do a certain thing for so long that hasn't been working. Maybe they want to change it kind of thing. Maybe that's where they're coming from. But I just don't see it. It's been, we've gotten to a point where I know there's been problems with USA Soccer and like the head coaching situation and how, front office problems. That's been an issue, I know. But other than that, it's like the talent's kind of going in the right direction. We just got to get more promotion, get kids playing kind of thing. But I just don't see why this is a good idea. I don't see why this is what they think the solution is.
Yeah, no, they're really just dropping the ball here. That's really all it is. They're really just dropping the ball. You need these academies for these kids. Soccer is a whole different animal than anything else we play. And I feel like that really is the biggest problem here is that, listen, soccer is one of the easiest games you could play anywhere. You have a soccer ball, you kick it around. It's make
probably easier than basketball. And basketball is probably considered like the easiest.
But that's the whole thing.
2 sticks and make them a goal.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing. When it comes to the sports that we play, when we don't have the money to do much, we play basketball over soccer. Basketball is our sport that we play when we're when we're not in a good situation. That's the one we play. We don't play soccer, so that's why you're not. Maybe that's why they're not getting enough for the academies. I don't know. Obviously we need those academies because that's what works with soccer. That's what we see work. That's how you make your teams better. Obviously, something happened that they need these youth leagues instead. I agree that they're dropping the ball with this, but it's really more of a problem with young kids. They'd rather play basketball over soccer. It's that simple.
Yeah.
It is that simple.
One thing that, you guys both know me. I've coached you both in sports before. I am a big proprietor of doing 3 sports in high school. Soccer's different. It is, Matt would probably hear me say this. In terms of how to hone your skills, soccer is probably the quickest sport where you lose it if you don't play it constantly. Because the touch with soccer is something that you lose very quickly. Where in basketball, you can, you could shoot the ball a bunch of times and get a rhythm again and find your stroke. In football, you can get in football shape again and you can take a few hits and figure out, okay, I got my pop back. I'm good. Even in track and running, you get through a few tough workouts. You feel your body transform. Okay, I'm back to my running shape. Soccer is the one where once you lose that touch, it maybe takes a full year or full season. Like, it's not the thing that you can come back from so easily. You need to play soccer 365 days a year.
Yeah,
it's no chance.
Just to add, because I never thought about that, but I don't see how you could argue that. Like, it's just one of them. You can play football. You can absolutely be a professional football player, play professional baseball. Maybe not basketball because there's too much interference kind of thing. But we've seen people do this. Me at the highest level,
Michael Jordan, Deion Sanders.
Like, I mean, you're looking at these guys. It's possible.
Even Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow is still playing a professional baseball.
Yeah, he is. And Donovan McNabb played basketball and football in college at the highest level in the Big East kind of thing. Now, find me a soccer player who's playing 2 sports professionally. It doesn't happen.
It can't happen.
And the thing is, the top athletes can. You tell me Cristiano Ronaldo probably couldn't figure out a second sport. You know what I mean? He could, but if he ever did,
he's not going to be the same.
The best player in the world anymore.
Exactly. And that the thing is, because it's the only sport the rest of the world plays. They don't think about football. There's no thought about baseball in most of these places. They're only playing soccer. So when you have that, how are you going to compete with guys who are playing year-round at only one thing? I mean, there's guys here who do that with their individual sports kind of thing, but the best players are only focused. Deion was the best corner in the NFL and was still playing in the majors. He wasn't on a minor league team. He was flying to play with a major franchise and another major. Like,
Russell Wilson could be a Yankee if he wants to. He works out with the Yankees every year. He was drafted by the Yankees. And, when you look at guys, you look at dudes like Ocho Cinco, Steve Nash, massive soccer fans, soccer players. You see them juggling, and we'll watch them do something. We're like, oh, they're skilled, this and that. And then you realize they're not. They are not skilled soccer players. Chad Ochocinco tried to be on the LA Galaxy and he got cut from their second team.
And to add to that too,
in America,
Odell actually was offered to play at one of the MLS's like soccer academies. He could have easily turned into a very good MLS player. You never know, with potential kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
he's a freak athlete.
Just if you're looking at what kid from the United States who's a great athlete? Let's say he's a great football player and a great soccer player. Why would you leave your family and go overseas, perhaps maybe to some, to Real Madrid academy? You say, let's say they're scouting the United States. Mm-hmm. What is going to make you go there and play there over being a football player? You can be here. You can be Odell Beckham Jr., perhaps. Why would you go and leave when you can be just as big of a star
here? The argument
would
be, if you go to Real Madrid and you succeed, you're going to make hundreds of millions more, but still you don't know.
Yeah. It's a lower probability.
You don't know.
Lower probability.
And you just put this in perspective for everyone, that is listening to this going, wow, I can't believe that they're talking up soccer. They're a bunch of fairies, this and that. So let's put it in this perspective. You talked about Odell Beckham. It's a perfect example. Odell Beckham, I want people that hate soccer to go real quick and watch it, not for the play, but look for the athleticism. They have to be as fast as Odell, DeAndre Hopkins, jump like those guys, but have the endurance of Mohamed Farah. People go look up Mo Farah real quick. If you don't know who Mo Farah is, look up Mo Farah. He was the 5K and 10K Olympic champion 5 years ago, back in the same Olympics. You need to have that type of endurance because you don't stop. Even people are like, oh, they walk up front because they sprint every 30 seconds.
Every 5,
you have to have that type of athleticism, and you have to be physical. Yes, a lot of guys flop, but if you see the way they are jumping and nailing each other, soccer is a subtle athletic game where you need to be. People talk trash about, I mess with Matt about Cristiano Ronaldo because he's a Ronaldo stan, but Ronaldo is a freak specimen.
He's one of the greatest athletes that ever lived.
He's as terrifying as anybody. You take LeBron, Ronaldo is right there in terms of terrifying athletes.
And
the United States is never going to do it because they're stupid.
Wait,
we're just
but the fun news I saw today, it was just a little thing, is that Ronaldo is actually possibly thinking about coming to the MLS at one point.
Of course, it's a retirement league. Pele came to MLS.
It is a retirement league.
And they're going to destroy it. Bradley Wright Phillips, Thierry Henry. It's a retirement league.
Oh, it's 100%.
But you come here, people go crazy. Your jersey gets sold. You score a trillion goals because the competition is disrespectful. In all honesty, it'll be fun. I'll have a jersey. I'll tell you that. But it's just it is what it is, kind of thing.
And it's like you look at it this way: our most talented player is playing in England, Christian Pulisic. It's like you look at it that way, and that's and I get it. The best guys are going to go play in Bundesliga, EPL, Serie A. They're going to go play there. But until the MLS can keep those guys home or notice the guys that are good at home and bring them up to play caps, we don't do that. We're stupid.
That doesn't.
So it's like, it's difficult. And the last thing I have to say about the coaching, you mentioned the coaching, Rob, or David, one of you. The United States Soccer Federation was scared off by the Jurgen Klinsmann experiment. It worked for a little bit, and we had a foreign guy in. Now that quote unquote failed because he ended terribly, we've gone right back. No more nationals. There were some good international coaches that wanted to become our guys. We talked about it in the group. I don't know if you guys saw. I would run a name by Matt, and Matt would be like, "I'd be cool with that guy." But you know what they needed to do? They reached right back into the MLS pocket, and an American coach, and that's another reason why we are never going to be great. If you are a great MLS coach, you are maybe a second league, possibly decent coach over at
decent. Exactly. That's
and it's like it's not. They're good soccer minds. They're very good soccer guys, a lot better than I am, but I'd rather have Matt go coach the national team. He's probably on the same caliber mentally as some of these coaches.
Honestly.
It's ridiculous that we decided we're not going to go international again. That's why we're never going to fit in the international game. Anyone have anything else to add on the show at all? Rob, any tidbits? Anything?
You have a last?
My only thing is I'm just gonna. The draft's tomorrow. I've been saying I want to be on record again saying it. CeeDee Lamb is the best player in the draft. I'm sorry, he just is.
Isaiah Simmons. He's better than Isaiah Simmons.
Okay. I might have voted. CeeDee Lamb will be a top 10 receiver by the end of this season.
That's a bold one. That's a very bold one.
Bold, but that is much to say he's better than Isaiah Simmons.
Okay. Ashton Davis is going to be a really good football player too. I got to be on record saying that twice. But I didn't even get to that. Isaiah Simmons was created in a lab somewhere. He's a freak. He is that linebacker who can run a 4.3, just best athlete on the field, put him at middle linebacker. He makes 170 tackles. Like, that's what he's going to be. Devin Bush will be that. Devin White will be that. Darius Leonard, we saw him be that kind of thing. That's what he is. That's going to be fun to
Except
watch.
I think Isaiah Simmons can be better than all those guys.
Way better. He got the size. His only question was his speed, and he ran a 4.34. That is all that needs to be said about him. It's ridiculous. It is actually crazy.
Dave, that's anything to end with here?
Okay, what I'm going to end with is the absolute disgrace of the fact that the damn LA Chargers have the best new jerseys out of anyone. One of the best jerseys in the league now.
Yeah, I like the dark blue.
An LA football team. A team no one's going to come watch. Has one of the best jerseys in the NFL. That's insane. That's insane. It pisses me off. LA does not deserve a football team. I will die with that. That will be put on my gravestone.
All right, Dave. I like that we end off with a rant.
I had to do it.
Before we go, I just have to mention the name Dick Pound. Don't have a quote. Just have to mention that name because we mention Dick Pound every week now because it's the greatest name in all sports. Hey, we talked about soccer, and soccer is a part of the Olympics. So there we go. Dick Pound, everybody. All right, with that, we are going to close out this episode of Cuesta Dos. It was a nice, long, fun episode. Rob, thanks for joining us on this episode. We appreciate it. Showing your face out there so that when people hear your voice in the playbook, they're like, wait, new show? No. They had like 14 episodes and then decided that football wasn't fun anymore and stopped doing them. But they're going to be back, him and Joe.
We will.
Rob, do you have any plugs you want to give? Any Twitter, Instagram stuff?
I mean, you can follow Sports Opinions. I know you're going to say it at the end, but you can follow Sports Opinions on Instagram. You can follow me at RepJR on Instagram. We're going to be back to it. We'll be.
Put your mixer out there.
Yeah, do mixer.
Rep JR. I'm getting to an untouchable point in Madden. I'm just saying that.
I can't wait to hear this and then watch your next stream and watch you do the game.
My craft.
Yeah, just watch you play Shavar. Just challenge Shavar again.
Honestly, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start, getting him. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Oh, and 10 against Shavar, but I'm unstoppable.
Instagram. Wow, 4-4. Instagram Rep JR. We got Sports Opinions 30. The playbook is coming back. I'll say April 27th, 29th is after the draft. We're gonna really evaluate every team, or most teams. We'll go from there. It's coming back. Love being on the show. It was fun. That's all I got.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
All right, David, I would ask you, but you don't ever remember your handle. So you can find my brother, David Cuesta, on Twitter at DQuesta308, Instagram at QuestaCola. He's not super active on there. I'm going to hopefully force him to get more active. We'll see. Find me on Twitter and Instagram at @air_Cuesta30. Find Sports Opinions on Twitter, Sports Opinion 30, Instagram, Sports Opinions 30. Find us on Facebook. And now you can search for any one of our shows individually, Spotify, soon to be everywhere else. That's Cuesta Dos, Personal Foul Podcast, Sports Opinions Podcast, We're Young But Just Us, and the Playbook has some shows up there with Rob doing in this combined stuff right now. So search for them individually, and you can find all of them. Maybe we'll all have Twitters. Rob's not too cool on the idea. I'm going to talk him into it. But maybe we'll all have Twitters getting out there. And, everyone, again, COVID-19, coronavirus is serious. Listen to your governors. Listen to your government. Wash your damn hands. Stop buying all the toilet paper. Leave the Lysol on the shelf, you dirty And you know what else? You know what else? Wipes. People, wipes are not going to keep away the coronavirus. Baby wipes. Stop buying all the baby wipes.
Yeah.
You dirty people.
It's not going to do anything. That's not
scary
what
thing. Scary
Stupid
thing.
dirty.
I heard frozen pizzas are going. The sale of frozen pizzas going up. We're going to probably see a little shortage on frozen pizzas. So if you like those, go get them. Go get them.
Man, I gotta go load up. That's mine and Julie's backup. We forgot to take something out.
Yeah.
Let's have a frozen pizza. But all right. Anyway, before this gets on to weird places, that was Cuesta Dos. Everyone, be safe. Have a good one.